On a mountain road, Annette and Tama were walking, pulling a coffin that contained Sensei. Tama complained that she was hungry, so they decided to take a short break. Besides being hungry, they were also very tired. Sensei peeked out from inside the coffin and asked if it was time to eat. Annette then offered Sensei some bread. Sensei asked if there was any boiled tofu. Since there wasn't, he closed the coffin again. Annette noted boiled tofu in her book, intending to look for it in the next town. Tama could only watch and wonder. Annette then unfolded a map. Tama asked how much longer it would take to reach her home. Tama's home was in Grun, and it would take a few more days. However, Annette intended to stop by the Zweiten Temple first. This was because reincarnations from other worlds usually arrived at one of the 4 temples in that world, then traveled to the Demon King's castle. But Sensei's goal wasn't to defeat the Demon King. He was looking for Sachan. Therefore, they needed to visit all 4 temples to gather information. Tama was a bit shocked to hear this, because if they were unlucky, they might have to travel around the world. Calmly, Annette agreed. Tama still couldn't believe Annette's decision. Annette then said that she actually didn't want Sensei to fight the Demon King. She didn't want Sensei to be in danger. Tama then teased Annette, saying that she must like Sensei. Annette's face turned red. She didn't admit it but said that Sensei had enlightened her during her despair in the task she had to undertake. So now it was her turn to help Sensei. Tama then continued, asking what if Sachan turned out to be Sensei's lover. Annette's face turned pale, and she said that was why she had to confirm it herself. Tama felt sorry for her, but she kindly promised to accompany her, but only until she reached her home. Annette turned her face away, saying thank you in an unenthusiastic tone. Tama was a bit annoyed because she knew Annette actually wanted to be alone with Sensei. Tama then asked if Annette was allowed to enter the temple since she had just left her duties. Annette said not to worry, because the head of the Zweiten Temple was her friend, and she didn't leave her duties without saying goodbye. She had already sent her familiar to deliver her resignation letter. But it turned out that Annette's familiar was already there, biting Sensei's head. When Annette asked, it turned out the resignation letter was still with the familiar and hadn't been delivered. Annette angrily chased away her familiar. Sensei saw this and felt sorry for Annette's familiar because it had returned to its master but was scolded instead. Then Sensei named the creature Melos. It immediately flew around, feeling very happy. On the other hand, Annette felt very regretful and apologized to the gods because Melos didn't do its job well, causing her to neglect her duties without permission. Then suddenly, birds flew around, and Melos looked very anxious and then fled. A strong wind arose, and a dragon quickly landed in front of them. Annette and Tama panicked upon seeing it. Dragons were the strongest monsters on Earth, and now they didn't know why it was there. The dragon roared, and Annette and Tama could only stand in astonishment. Unexpectedly, someone suddenly appeared behind them and ordered the dragon named Ryuka to be quiet. She approached the dragon and petted its head. Now the dragon looked calm and didn't resist. Annette and Tama were just stunned to see it. This person then told Annette and the others to leave because there were many monsters there. Seeing the coffin, she also thought there had already been casualties. But Annette said that the one inside the coffin was a rather odd otherworlder. Immediately, this person looked angry. After removing her cloak, it turned out she was a woman. She said she would kill all otherworlders. The woman emitted an extraordinary aura of power. Then with one hand, she created a magic circle and shot magic at Sensei. Annette quickly cast shield magic. She struggled to withstand the magical attack, but the shield magic was not strong enough and eventually shattered. Sensei, Annette, and Tama looked helpless. The woman moved closer to them. Then, with just one glance, she immobilized Tama and Annette. Using magic, the woman revealed a logo on her chest. Upon seeing the logo, Annette realized that it was the Demon King's logo. The woman prepared to attack again, casting magic with both of her hands. Sensei then stood up and told her to stop endangering others. If she wanted to target otherworlders, she should only focus on him. Sensei walked closer to the woman and said that he was her opponent. He offered himself to be attacked as she pleased. He was ready to die at any time. Without hesitation, the woman immediately attacked Sensei with her hand, piercing through his body. Sensei fell to the ground. She walked away from Sensei while introducing herself as Waldelia. Annette and Tama looked extremely panicked and then fainted. Unexpectedly, Sensei was still able to stand up. Holding his stomach, Sensei said that he once had the urge to stab someone else because of his intense hatred, but he only went as far as sending a threatening letter. At that time, Sensei had lost his sanity because of his intense hatred. Sensei thought that maybe that was what was happening to Waldelia. Staring at her face and holding her cheek, Sensei said that her eyes looked sad. Sensei wanted Waldelia to tell him, but she remained silent and then left on the dragon named Ryuka. Waldelia was still confused by what Sensei had just done. She also became curious about who Sensei really was. From behind a rock, Melos saw Sensei, Annette, and Tama unconscious and helpless. On a rainy day, a priestess from the Zweiten temple opened the temple door and saw Annette and the others unconscious. Melos had brought them there. Naturally, the priestess was very worried and immediately tried to wake Annette, asking what had happened. Annette then said not to worry about her, but to please help Sensei, who was severely injured at that time. The priestess quickly rushed to treat Sensei with magic and healing potions. The next morning, Sensei was already healthy again and was seen looking at poisons being sold in the market. The seller explained that the poison would be very useful against monsters by throwing it at them. But unexpectedly, Sensei drank it immediately. Of course, the seller and Tama, who was there, were shocked. Angrily, Tama said that he shouldn't have done that, especially after just miraculously surviving his wounds. Sensei then said that because he was so healthy, he felt unwell. Annette and the priestess from the Zweiten temple, who turned out to be named Yisha, were also there. Annette was very grateful to her and promised to repay the favor. Annette then asked if she knew a reincarnated girl named Sachan. Yisha replied that she didn't know her and that Sachan had never come to her temple. Annette then wondered where she could be. Yisha's face immediately looked angry. She asked why Annette was wandering with an otherworlder. She was also shocked to hear that Annette suddenly quit her job without notice. However, on the other hand, Yisha felt relieved because she thought Annette was too naive for that job. They both already knew that no otherworlder was sane. They were only given power by the gods to defeat the Demon King, but they only used their power for their selfishness. Suddenly, a male otherworlder with a rap style approached them. Annette and Yisha looked at him cynically. The man was named Kotaro. Annette and Yisha ignored him and continued chatting. Feeling ignored, Kotaro then showed his power, which was mass production. He could create unlimited currency in that world. Kotaro continued to show off his power in front of Annette and Yisha. This made Yisha feel annoyed, and she threw the coins Kotaro created at his face. Kotaro then ran away angrily. Yisha then said that all otherworlders behaved that way. Annette then argued that Sensei was different from other otherworlders. Yisha didn't believe her because just by looking at Sensei's face, she already knew that Sensei was a destructive person. Yisha was worried that something bad would happen if Annette continued to be with Sensei. Annette then said that without Sensei, she wouldn't be who she was now. Sensei had changed her destiny. Sensei walked up to Annette and said that he had some medicine to buy. Without thinking, Annette gave him a lot of money. Seeing that, Yisha thought that Annette's sanity had already been ruined. Yisha then asked what power Sensei had. Annette replied that Sensei had no power at all. However, despite that, he still risked his life fighting the Demon King to protect Annette and Tama. Hearing that, Yisha was stunned. She said that the Demon King had been defeated by an otherworlder 7 days ago. Annette was also shocked to hear that. Then the scene shifted to the Demon King's castle. There was a dragon roaring loudly. A man sitting on the blood-soaked throne then said that no matter how much it roared, its master would never return because he had destroyed him. From a hill, Waldelia looked at the Demon King's castle and said, "Father." Annette and Tama were already in their inn room. Tama looked shocked after just being told that the Demon King had been defeated. Annette looked very happy because that meant Zauberberg was now at peace. However, Tama wondered who the woman they met earlier was. Annette was also confused, especially since Sensei had just arrived in this world 7 days ago. Tama thought, why was Sensei reincarnated from another world if the Demon King had already been defeated? Sensei, who had been busy with his papers, suddenly tore them up and lay down. Sensei said he had wanted to start writing since coming to this world, but he was always stuck, so now he was despairing. Hearing this, Annette became interested. She thought Sensei might be writing about their journey or even about their meeting. However, Sensei replied that he had not written about Annette at all. Annette immediately felt very sad hearing this. Sensei said he had been inspired when he met Waldelia and hoped for another event that could rekindle his spirit. Annette had an idea to take Sensei around the town to relax because she also wanted to buy something for him. Unexpectedly, Annette wanted to buy armor for Sensei. The armor looked very large, but Annette said it was very useful for deflecting magic since they never knew when or who would attack them. Sensei did not seem bothered by the armor, but he looked unable to move. Annette and Tama left Sensei there and went shopping. Yusha accidentally saw something surrounded by children. She was shocked when Sensei greeted her. Yusha then approached Sensei and said that from now on, Annette would be with her. Yusha said that Annette was too naive, which made her too trusting of others, but Annette would be unfortunate if she stayed with an otherworlder. As her friend, she didn't want that to happen, so Yusha pleaded with Sensei to disband his party with Annette. Sensei just smiled and said that whether Annette wanted to join or not was her decision and not Yusha's business, because Annette was not a bird in a cage. Sensei also asked why Yusha concluded that Annette would be unfortunate. Yusha replied that it was because Sensei was an otherworlder and she didn't trust otherworlders at all. Yusha was shocked when suddenly there was a wolf's howl. The sound came from the middle of the town, where a blonde-haired man was walking on a wolf. Kotaro and several other wolves were also walking with him. As many people gathered, Kotaro, in his rap style, said that the man was sent from heaven to lead everyone. He was Suzuki, an otherworlder. Suzuki then started to give a speech. He said that recently, the Demon King had been defeated by a group of otherworlders. Of course, this surprised the villagers. They all then cheered and praised the otherworlders. Suzuki continued his speech, saying that the peace had been brought by the otherworlders who risked their lives. Therefore, now was a new era led by otherworlders, which would be known as the Great Hero Age. And now, the town of Vale would be led by Suzuki. Of course, the villagers did not want to accept this so easily. They were confused about what was happening. Kotaro then spoke again in his rap style, telling the people there to kneel before Suzuki. Kotaro then accidentally saw Annette and told Suzuki that she was the one who had mistreated him. Suzuki, arrogantly, got off the wolf he was riding. He looked displeased that someone had mistreated an otherworlder. Annette tried to defend herself, saying it was just a misunderstanding. But Suzuki didn't want to listen. He walked up to Annette, held her head, and said, "Be a good girl."